Bloom's taxonomy is all about basically of critical thinking skills. It starts with the most basic, which is knowledge, which we start to gain the minute we're born, maybe before that in fact. Throughout our lives, we go through this pyramid with everything that we do. We get knowledge, then we comprehend it, we're able to apply it in our lives. We start to think more about it, which is analysis. We apply other things that we've learned about it, which is then synthesis. We draw conclusions about it, which is evaluation. We focus on certain aspects of these, more so in certain ages. Regardless, we should be pretty good at going through this process, even though we've done it subconsciously. But how much better would we be at it if we knew exactly what we were doing, if we did this on purpose? In college, you're expected to demonstrate every level of Bloom's taxonomy in everything you do, but especially in essays. Now, most students don't really understand their expectations, and that creates quite a problem. You get a grade that you don't really know what you lost it for. You're told what you lost points for. You're told that you need to use more critical thinking skills, but you don't really know what that means because you think you did a pretty good job. You put some thought into the essay. Well, this video is going to help you understand exactly what your expectations are in college. People who most typically study Bloom's taxonomy are education majors and then educators. What they use it for is to make sure that they are testing on the same level that they are teaching on, and vice versa. They might use a chart like this to help them, so they know that if they're teaching analysis, that questions that they could use the words classify or survey. When they do activities, they can use graphs, surveys, questionnaires, etc. Okay, so this gives an idea of what they use it for. This gives an idea, looking back in your life at assignments that you've done, what the goal really was. So often we do all these little activities that we know we're supposed to be learning, but nobody just directly says, you are trying to accomplish the critical thinking skill of synthesis. Okay? Maybe they should. I probably would. But this is just to give you an idea that those are the people who typically know this, but I see so much more application. We should be using this everywhere, or at least acknowledging that that is the goal. So since this is what teachers use to base the assignments on, base the test questions on, you should know what it is you're expected to do when you do these activities or complete these. Now, as I said before, we go through these levels of Bloom's taxonomy throughout our lives. We go through this process of thinking about individual items. But then we also focus on the mastery of particular skills at certain ages. For example, before we start school, we gain a lot of knowledge. We start to recognize the shapes and colors. Think about babies. They want to touch things, they want to put things to their mouth, they want to taste things, they listen for new sounds, they like repetition, they study the way things work. Okay, they're gaining knowledge. They don't always understand what they're seeing or what they're feeling or experiencing, but they are gaining that knowledge. But then they start to understand. They build upon that initial knowledge. And then we help them along the way, but particularly around pre-K, we really want to make sure that they're understanding. So around that age, at preschool and pre-K, we start telling them directly, this is what you're feeling. Okay? Think of, again, with little children. We try to help them understand that they need to be soft when they pet a cat. And we show them what soft means so that they hear the word, they feel, and they connect them, which is helping them to understand what's going on. Okay? In elementary school, we focus on application. Everything is how we apply the world to ourselves, or how we put ourselves into the world. I don't only know the colors, red, yellow, and green, but I know that if I get to a stop sign, and which is red, I need to stop. Or I know if I get to a stop light, which is red, then I stop, or if it's green, I go. I know how to apply those colors to something that tells me what to do in life. Okay? I learn how to use money based on numbers instead of just knowing how to count. So almost everything from telling time, everything in elementary school is based around using the very basic knowledge of numbers, colors, and letters to turn that into something that we use day to day. When we get to middle school, we start to advance a little bit more, and around that age is when we start hearing words like metaphor and simile and symbol. Okay, we start reading and looking for ways that we can add more meaning to life. Instead of just direct application, we're going to think about it a little bit deeper. So we start trying to do that in middle school. Some people master it earlier. Some people don't master it for a long time after that. But that's when teachers start throwing out those words. Synthesis is a goal of high school. And synthesis is when we take information from more than one place and put it together ourselves. Instead of waiting for a teacher to put the information together for us and hand it to us, we are going to find that information. So in high school, this starts when the teacher says, go to the library and find 3 sources. Okay, they want you to read the sources and figure out what they have to do with each other instead of them telling you all the information. You're going to find the information. And by that point, it's possible that the information you find is going to be different than the information the person sitting next to you finds. So synthesis is when you go out, you find multiple sources, and that doesn't have to be books. That can be what you saw on the news, relates to what your teacher said, and what you read in a magazine. 3 different sources, 3 different places that you gained information, but you are able to make the connections instead of waiting for someone else. When you get to college, you're expected to have mastered all the previous, and your focus is on evaluation. You start writing arguments or claims. Okay, all of those are very connected. They're all the same idea. You're going to evaluate things now. So instead, and I mentioned this in another video too, but kind of like you have this jar that you're going through all of pre-K through 12th grade carrying, and you're just filling it with knowledge and knowledge and knowledge and understanding. You're learning a little bit more and more about it. But when you get to college, a lot of people think it's strange that you learn a lot of the same things. I mean, you go to physical science and you might have already learned all of that if you had a really good teacher in high school. The difference is that you're not just learning it now. You're not just putting it in the jar. At this point, you're supposed to be taking it out and evaluating it. Do you agree with this? Is there something more that you could contribute to this idea? You are putting yourself in the world now. You are trying to take this information and do something with it. So in college, you start to work on evaluation. The hard part is that you go through all of elementary school working on application. You go through all of middle school working on analysis. You go through all of high school attempting synthesis. But then you get to college and it's just an expectation. You're not going to work on it slowly, step by step. You're just expected to do it. So that's why I like to make sure students understand this from the beginning, because if you know that you're expected to do this, you're so much more likely to actually accomplish it.